Hello everyone, and welcome back to yet another news segment for Rainbow Six Siege, where this time I will be outlining a couple of changes that will affect both new players and pre-existing players alike, and giving my opinions and a bit of an analysis on these changes. As mentioned, the first two changes will affect everyone in the game regardless of how long you've been playing it, and these changes are that the base game operators, these being the operators from the non-DLC CTUs, aka SAS, FBI, GIGN, Spetsnaz, and GSG9, will all, as of March the 6th, aka when Operation Chimera releases, become free for anyone to play with. In addition to this, at the same time, all of the attachments in the game will lose their Renown cost and become free for all to equip as and when they please. Ubisoft's own blog post detailing these changes give their own justification for these changes, and the blog itself will be linked in the description below if you want to read it yourself, but in essence, Ubisoft is trying to cut down on the issues presented to new players trying Siege out. This ties in nicely with their other major change that will really only affect new players, or rather people who have yet to actually purchase the game, wherein anyone who buys the Starter Edition after March the 6th will be given 3 random non-DLC operators for offense, and then another 3 for defense from an already decided pool. This pool of potential operators that you might receive include Ash, Thermite, Thatcher, Fuse, and Sledge for offense, and for defense, Rook, Mute, Smoke, Jaeger, and Kapkan. This is a noticeable improvement to the notoriously grindy Starter Edition, which previously only gave you 2 operators and 600 in-game credits, which presumably most people would have used to purchase a DLC operator of their choice, as that is how much a DLC operator costs in credits. In essence, this change doubles the number of operators Starter Edition players will have access to. Before, you had 2 of your choice plus a DLC operator, but now you will have 6 from the basic CTUs. Once again, this does help improve the lot of a new starting player to Siege. And these changes are definitely fantastic for new players. Siege is a pretty hard game mechanically to get to grips with, as it does quite a lot different to other current big FPSs. It has an extremely low time to kill, which means that if a new player is slightly out of position or slightly unsure of their map that they haven't quite played enough of yet, they will very quickly often see themselves be punished as a result. This, combined with the destructibility being so great in Siege, means that even huddled in a corner of a site room, a new player might not actually be safe there, as they can die from any non-reinforced wall or even from above or below if the enemy team has a buck or a sledge to punish that kind of vertical destructibility. And all of this is not even to start talking about the many unique gadgets available to each individual operator that a new player needs to learn the details of in order to fully get to grips with Siege as a game. So clearly, Siege is a very complex game then, and therefore anything that Ubisoft can do to ease new players into their big hit esports title is definitely worth doing given how well Siege did in 2017. If I personally was an executive at Ubisoft, I would certainly want to see that growth continue for at least another couple of years if possible, and I definitely think it is possible given how Siege occupies a very singular niche of the FPS market. Siege has likely done well in recent years simply because, as well as the many improvements Ubisoft have directly implemented, but otherwise because it doesn't actually directly compete against any other current big hitters such as Counter-Strike Global Offensive or PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds or indeed Fortnite. And I will just give a quick review of the pool of operators that this change will give to Starter Edition. Players on offense, Ash, Thermite, Thatcher, Fuse, and Sledge. I think that's a great pool. It gives a wide range of utility on offense. You've got Ash and Sledge for soft kind of destructibility breaching. And Sledge, if they get Sledge, they can learn a bit of the basics of vertical destruction, which is pretty fantastic, as that's honestly where a lot of fun I'm starting to get from Siege comes from. Just breaking a floor and then kind of dropping grenades into a bomb site. That's hilarious. If a new player gets to grips with that earlier, all the better. Fuse, he offers, of course, a lot of area clear in terms of getting rid of barbed wire, traps, goo mines, all sorts of traps, basically. And also potentially getting triple kills or aces sometimes, if you're extremely lucky. So Fuse, I think, is a great choice. He's also just fun. Fuse is a fun operator for newer players. And then you have Thermite, clearly a good choice for new players if they get him, because he offers hard breaching capability, which new players will very quickly realize is very important to have in Siege, given all of the reinforcements available to the defending team. And then Thatcher. Thatcher provides a very easy, very mechanically simple way of getting rid of electronic devices from the defenders. And then on defense, you've got the infamous new player operator recommendation, Rook. You've basically got one job outside of putting up your reinforcements and setting down your other gadget, and that job is put down your armor panels and then equip one of them. For a new player, it really can't get any simpler. But outside of Rook, who is just a generically good operator, you have Mute, who denies droning and teaches the importance of sort of information denial, which is pretty cool. You got Smoke, who is just, top tier defending operator. Jaeger, who is just kind of anti-grenading and anti-ability, which is also kind of cool. A bit similar to Mute in that fashion. And then Kapkan, who, similar to Fuse, there's a bit of a Spetsnaz theme running here, isn't there? But similar to Fuse, Kapkan is just a really fun operator as a new player. Putting traps everywhere, even if not many of them go off, is just kind of fun to do. So, in essence, this mini review of the operator pool, available come March the 6th to the Starter Edition players, I think it's a pretty great selection, and they do say that they deliberately tried to choose operators that were mechanically quite simple and accessible. But back on the previous topic, with what I was just saying in mind, making Siege easier to get into will definitely help it in the long run, as removing the Renown requirement for both the basic operators and in-game attachments, that's definitely going to help new players in that regard, and definitely help them get into Siege, get their foot on the online ladder, so to speak. However, it's not all bells and roses. There is definitely an issue that comes with how bad this potentially feels for pre-existing players who might have already sunk a bunch of their hard-earned renown, and not to mention time, into unlocking the basic operators using Renown, alongside the required attachments you need in order to actually use those operators well. And now they're just hearing that all of that effort and Renown will have basically gone to waste come March the 6th. The fact that the Ubisoft blog specifically states as well that there will be no Renown refunds due to a, in their own words, technical limitation, doesn't particularly help the situation. It sounds like, if they're being truthful, that Ubisoft, in their own ineptitude, are kind of failing at giving people what they probably deserve. It kind of sounds like if this technical limitation didn't exist, that Ubisoft would give us a refund, which, when you think about it that way, feels even worse. But regardless, whilst a lot of long-time players will definitely be glad that their favorite game might be being, in essence, improved completely, for many, that fact won't fully ease the sting of such a sweeping change. And if I can personally make a quick estimation of how much I've spent Renown-wise on A, the basic operators, and B, the attachments for them, it roughly comes out to around 31,500 Renown. That is a very basic estimation. But this is worth just over a single DLC operator, which in themselves are worth each 600 credits, which converted to actual currency equals around £4 for me, or whatever your regional equivalent is. Just put it into Google conversion or whatever it is. Google will convert any currency you want, by the way. But yeah, personally, whilst this does feel kind of bad, I am largely just glad that new and upcoming players will have a better time of Siege in future, even if it had to come at some cost from me and other existing players. And who knows, maybe if we complain enough, we'll get another free elite skin. These changes, by the way, if I haven't mentioned already, I'm pretty sure I have, but these changes will take effect as soon as Operation Chimera releases, come March the 6th. And that's really it from me. Hopefully you found this video informative and or interesting. And of course, if you have your own opinions on these massive changes to Siege, please post them below in the comment section, and I will hopefully see you in the next one.